a bit about open source food. I will present the idea behind open source food, and after that, André will guide you through the webpage, which is important because you are invited to participate in this webpage.
Or in the project, basically.
Yeah. The idea behind open source food is to reflect upon and act on the poor living conditions of asylum seekers in Denmark. Asylum seekers receive 49.10 kroner per day, and this amount of money has to cover food expenses, transportation expenses, and hygiene articles. According to Eurostat, Denmark has the highest food prices in Europe. Also, public transportation is one of the most expensive in Europe. This makes it, of course, very difficult for asylum seekers to have a nutritious and diversified diet. More than that, asylum seekers wait on average 3 years or even more for their cases to be processed. During this waiting time, the asylum seekers are not allowed to work. If they work, they risk deportation or imprisonment. Another fact is that asylum centers in Denmark are placed in rural areas very far away from major cities and social networks. So the idea that we had with open source food is to call attention to these conditions by foraging food around asylum centers in Denmark. We therefore invite you to participate in the project, and as I said, André will guide you through the webpage and give you instructions of how you can participate.
Well, not necessarily instructions, but at least suggestions. The webpage is sort of, it's built up in a way that we create field guides where we geotag what you can find about asylum centers and what you can eat, and this makes it easy to go into the webpage and actually find out like where can you find what in different at different centers. So I'm going to show you like some quick imagery, from these 3 different field guides that we've done so far. I mean, there's plenty of field guides to be made, and you could say like one of the primary objectives of actually having this as a kind of website is also that because the centers are dispersed all over Denmark, geographically dispersed, the webpage enables us to like work simultaneously on these different field guides and on the project. So to whichever degree anybody wants to participate, even if you're in Jylland, you can contribute. So I'll show you like this. Like the first field guide was actually not at an asylum center, but it was a kind of a pilot study we did in conjunction with an art event that was made in last summer. I can show you like some how it works. Yeah. So each field guide has like a little opening and story about what's there, and then you can actually just zoom in. These kind of geotag images. What does this sound like? So if this was a center, you can say like. It's sort of a shitty connection right here, but and see that's me collecting watermelon, for example. So you can actually just navigate through like the different images that are uploaded, and that way like see what's available. So that's like one way of contributing is if you have like a GPS-enabled camera, which a lot of people have today, or you have a smartphone, you can actually just go out and like take a picture of what you find and send it to us. So that's one way of contributing. Another way is
public land.
Huh?
Public land.
Yes, it's public land. I mean, there's a law in old law in Denmark called Jyske law, which says that you're allowed to gather what you can hold in your hat. Yeah. So I mean, that's what we have. Like the hat is a kind of front page, and we're trying to keep on building the site in the sense that we also would like to have some legal advice, legal counseling, on how to proceed in these matters. So also that, especially for asylum seekers who are vulnerable in this kind of sense, know and have their rights and can stand on them. Yeah.
Does that apply to private land too then, the hat thing?
Yes, I think actually, as far as I know, it is that you can reach into private land, you can fill your hat. But I'm not 100% sure. I know it's definitely for sure for public land. And most of the asylum centers, I mean, all of the asylum centers are on state-owned land. So, but yeah. So these are. This was yesterday. We were at Samtalekøkkenet, where we found ramps.
That would be on your rice tonight, served on your rice.
Yes, we're doing we're doing a little rice and vegetable curry that you'll taste later on. So those are the ramps. This is at Amtoft, which is also a big asylum center.
What are these? I mean, these things you propose to collect.
Well, the thing is, like the things that we propose to collect are things that are free and that you can find in nature, and therefore they're an important supplement to a diet that if you can't afford to have a diversified and healthy diet. Yeah, there's a limit.
You have information about what kind of greenery that you use.
Yes, I mean we do. I mean, you can see from some of the pictures, and that's. I mean, we can talk about this later in terms of. I know that's been like one of the critiques that that the pictures could be more, you could say, scientific in the sense that they're closer, you have more close-ups. But there's also, I mean, there is also names on the images, so you know what they are. You can always Google the images if you're in doubt. Yeah. So, and then we're developing recipes basically, and the recipes that we develop from along with asylum seekers are uploaded on the site, but other people can also contribute. So it's open. Yeah. So the recipe was developed. Let's see, for example, autumn. Wild herb veggie patties and roasted jam and stuff like that. So the idea behind the recipes is to get enough recipes to make a cookbook, and to sell this cookbook so we can use the proceeds from the cookbook to call attention to this issue. Yeah, by funneling the proceeds into other projects that also deal with this. Well, if you would be the first one to do that, you're welcome.
Anyone is interested, I can tell you there are extremely soft snails out on the Nokia. I was really poor last summer, and I just got this idea, let's pick some snails, you know. And I picked really, really many snails, and then I just sort of, when I came home, I just all of a sudden they were trying to like crawl out of this bag, and I got like immediately really, really frightened of them.
Yeah, but if you have a delicious recipe and snail workshop.
It's actually a long procedure to make snails. I know, I was trying to give them away and then
But that could be nice.
So, but I mean, you could, if you don't have it, I mean, and of course, if you're an asylum seeker, you don't necessarily have access. You don't have a smartphone. You might not even have a GPS-enabled camera or stuff. So, I mean, but there are other ways to contribute, and I mean, that could also just be like if you find stuff and you know where you are, you like send a description of what you found, and then we'll like upload it or like at least get the recipes going. So the recipes are also like an important part of the project in a sense. So and we've listed on the website like different ways that you can, participate. And of course, we also do like excursions once in a while, and so when we do these excursions, they'll be announced on the website ahead of time. Yeah. But of course, if anybody else has any other skills or just I mean, it's basically open. It's not like we're trying to, or have any kind of so if you want to say anything, ownership of the project in that sense. So actually, if anybody's also interested in contributing in whichever way they can, that's fine. Yeah.
Any asylum seekers using it?
Well. That's one of the big issues we have. The problems we have right now is like that it can be difficult to mobilize people at the centers because it's not a very it's not a very conductive situation to be in to like you don't really have that much energy or motivation to do anything else because you're all like a lot of people are just worried about their cases and it's just kind of potential waiting. Yeah. So, but we're starting up a project with Robert at Amtoft, where there's some cooking classes. Robert, where we're going to be like helping out and doing some cooking classes and incorporating open source food into the cooking classes for men. Yeah. So, and we want it's a matter of also like trying to expand this like to other centers because there's definitely a need. For example, young men who don't know how to cook, or even older guys who don't know how to cook, and also for women. So it's a matter of like trying to get some more health-related diets going, and also in that same sense, kind of protesting the conditions that we report silence.
But also, both of us know about Copenhagen Asylum Center, and there they have these Sunday dinners, and there we did a dinner with them this winter where we did sea buckthorn chutney. So that is
I think it's
on this page as well. So it is definitely also connected to our engagement in these centers and the whole network that we have from these centers.
Yeah, so of course, I mean, you can find the recipes on the site. So, I think actually, am I missing something? I mean, it's a very kind of short presentation right now, and the project is, I mean, we've worked at 2 centers now, and we'd like to, yeah?
I don't know, there is in France there is a law similar to this law, but where you also have the right to go in on farmland.
Exactly.
After it has been
Harvested, yeah.
and pick up, for instance, potatoes.
Lean.
The European community has this very specific
Standard for potatoes, yeah, so big potatoes, yeah, crazy potatoes.
Are you implementing this kind of?
Well, that's what we're going to be like trying to like ask some judges and some professors for counseling about that, what the rights actually are in Denmark. So I mean, we know Jyskedal that I mean it applies for public land. I'm not sure about private land, but yeah. But it would be good for exactly.
Translating the web pages. Do you have other languages? Like, do you think maybe the translation is an issue?
Yeah, I mean, right now we've kept it in English because English is sort of like the universal right now. Of course, it would be good to have it translated into several other languages, but that's also, I mean, if you're offering to translate, that would be great.
The history of modernity is really the history of the extinction of these rights of common.
Mm-hmm.
The absolutization of property. So to find maybe some residual rights of common, which would include gleaning,
yeah,
and all the coincident use rights to wood, to beech moss for your pigs, to graze. If they exist in Denmark residually, it's worth trying to revive them.
Yeah.
California, where I live, the communards in the 60s reinvented gleaning without knowing the name. They found that the mechanization of harvesting was so inefficient, and the farmers in the Central Valley found it was not worth picking up what was left over from the mechanical harvesters of, say, broccoli. And the communards, who were often very poor and outside the cash nexus in the countryside, they would go on these canning weekends from the communes, and they would pick up the broccoli, and that would often last them through the winter. They didn't even know the word gleaning. I've been on a project to kind of try to get back the history of this rediscovery of what was, of course, a right. I mean, it's the crushing of these rights, the absolutization of property, that is the problem. So we have to, in a way, reinvent commony.
Yeah, yeah. I know that that's the same issue in France, that they actually, but there it's more common actually.
Yeah, and it becomes increasingly common.
Yeah.
Because people also because the gentrification of towns. So people like homeless people, they get further out of town. They have actually discovered these laws and started to people from the farming land, increasingly south, where it's also warmer and nicer. There's a whole movement.
You think about the cleaners
Agnes Varda,
yeah.
Do you have a link to that? People would be interested
No,
to see that.
we definitely have a link to that, yeah.
Agnes Varda's great film, Cleaners and that.
And I also think, like, for California, you have, Fallen Fruit, they were, before they sort of commercialized their enterprise. Interesting, I think. Yeah. But they also work with finding food in LA's especially.
Have you organized open picnics around the camps or that?
No, I mean we started up working with the camps actually very late this winter, yeah. So there wasn't really that much we could harvest. And what we could harvest was what's called seabuck. So that was sort of it. And so now we'd like the season is starting. So now we're starting up. But yeah, that was the.
But we talked to this cooking class in Amtoft of doing a grill party at Amtoft. And also they had some fishing trips, so they could do some fishing trips and other people could go out and look sometimes some vegetables. And then do a big party out of that. But it is very much about creating a network, which takes a lot of time.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of the brunt of our presentation. I mean, it's not it's still like a project in process. And yesterday, I mean, we found like we harvested a bunch of birch juice. So
that we would like to serve.
we'd like to serve you. So No, let's let me just press Robert. Do you want to say something about the curry that you made?
Yeah, basically I was going with their picture, and this food is all vegetarian, and it's basically like a goulash, Pakistani style, of course, and the rice as well is Pakistani, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah.
And we have some ramps that we found that was actually in your backyard.
Yeah.
That you can garnish it with. Yeah?
I didn't even know they were there.